Hello students, I hope you all are fine at your home. So in today's lecture, we are going to discuss a very important model for the computer network that is called OSI model. The OSI means Open System Interconnection. So OSI is a model, or you can say it's architecture, which is defined for sending the data in the network or receiving the data, for sending and receiving the data. So it stands for, I already told you, it stands for Open System Interconnection, and it is developed by ISO, that is International Organization of Standards. So it is also known as ISO OSI reference model or ISO OSI model. It is also known as ISO OSI layered architecture because in this model there are several layers or 7 layers basically which are used to send or receive the data. All layers have some different functions, uh, and this is defined in the year 1984. So let's start with this because it is a new topic and it is not related to the previous lecture like your uh, broadcast and point-to-point network, so peer-to-peer network. So it is a different uh, uh, from that. So let's start with the OSI model. This is lecture number 4, and here I am Nitin Dikshit. So these are the outlines of today's lecture, in which we just discuss the learning outcomes, introduction to the OSI model, why OSI model, description of each and every layer of OSI model, and there is some exercise, and after that references. So let's come to the learning outcomes. So in learning outcomes, you can, after completion of this lecture, you can define the concept of what is open system and our advantages, what is a protocol and what is the standard we are using, what is the OSI model, what is the purpose of it, what are the layers in it, all the 7 layers, and function of each and every layer. The particular layer is responsible for which function. So these are the learning outcomes for today's lecture. So let's start with the open OSI model. So as I told you, it stands for the Open System Interconnection and defined by the ISO in the year 1984. So in OSI model, there are 7 layers, or we can say it is a 7-layer architecture in which each layer perform their function different, and each all 7 layers are connected to each other because the particular layered function is depend on the previous layer's function. So by this technique or by this architecture, we can send or receive data from one system to another across the globe by using internet, by using a network. Okay, so let's start. So these are the 7 layers of the OSI model. As you can see, uh, the sign is also shown here that if we are using this layer from the sending side, then we are going from top to bottom, and we are receiving the data, then we are from bottom to up. As you can see, here is the sender, here is the receiver. Now these 7 layers are also differentiate in 3 layers, that is, or we can say by from for part of definition we just defined here. The above 3 layers is defined for the software layer. The middle layer, transport layer, is known as the heart of the OSI model, and last 3 layers are the hardware layer because these 3 layers are interact with the hardware. So here you can see the 7 layers. First one from top to down. First one is the application, then presentation, then session, then transport, then data link, sorry, network, then data link, then physical. So here in today's lecture, we discuss all the function of each layer of OSI model. And please listen carefully because OSI model is very important, and it is not possible that in computer network you didn't get any question about OSI model. Always there is a question in OSI model in each and every exam, and it is very important for the network also. Okay, so let's start with the function of layers of OSI. So we'll start in the bottom two of fashion. So first we will take the physical layer. So physical layer is the lowest layer of the OSI model, and basically physical layer is responsible for the physical connection between the devices. So what is the main function of physical layer? That it contains the information in the form of bits, and it is responsible for transmitting the individual bits from one node to the next. As I told you in the previous lecture introduction part, that network is made up of so many devices and so many components are there. So between the components, physical layer is responsible for transmitting the data or transmitting the bits from one node to the another. And when the physical layer receive the data, then it will get the signal received and convert that signal into the 0 and 1 form and send that to data link layer. So the thing is that the bits which are coming from the data link layer to the physical layer are sent to the medium, and in the receiving end the physical layer receives the data in the signal form and convert it into 0 and 1 form and send it to the data link layer. So this is the main function of physical layer. Now come to the apart functions, in which number one is the bit synchronization. So physical layer also provide the synchronization of bit by providing a clock. So what is the main purpose of clock? The clock controls both senders and receiver. So that it provides a synchronization between at a bit level. So for transmitting and receiving, bit synchronization is there between the sender and the receiver, and uh, they both are synchronized at the bit level, that how much data is to be transferred and how much data is to be received by each and every node. Now after that, second one is bit rate control. So bit rate control defines the transmission rate. That means how many number of bits are sent per second. After that, third one is the physical topologies. So physical topologies uh, defines the way in which the different devices nodes are arranged in the network. That in which topology the network is created, either bus, star, mesh, or any other, because there are so many topologies are there for creating a network. So it also defines the physical topology, and after that, transmission mode. So physical layer also defines the way in which data is flow between the two connected devices. So what is the transmission mode of flowing of data? Because there are three transmission modes basically: half duplex, simplex, and full duplex. So in which mode the data is transmitted? It is either it is a simplex mode, half duplex mode, or full duplex mode. So now one more thing in the physical layer. So physical layer deals with the physical node of the network. Physical node means the devices or components which are used to create a network. Like you can say the hub, repeater, modem, switch, cable, all the things. So this is known as the, so for that this is also known as the lower layer or hardware layer. As I told you that all the last three layers are called as the hardware layer because they deal with the hardware devices. Now, after that, second layer is data link layer. So data link layer is responsible for the node to node delivery of the message. Means the node of data link layer, the data link layer of sending node to the data link layer of receiving node. Okay. So the main function of data link layer is to make sure that data is error free from one node to another over the physical network. So the data link layer is basically divided into two sublayers. First one is the LLC, that is called logical link control, and second one is the MAC, that is called media access control. So we will discuss these layers and all the functions of data link layer in our third unit, which is the part of third unit. Okay. So let's define the function here. So first function is framing. Framing is the main function of data link layer, and it provides a way for a sender to transmit a set of bits that are meaningful to the receiver. So framing is nothing. It is just a set of bits which are transmitted, which has to be transmitted. Also, uh, the framing is accomplished by attaching a special bit pattern with the beginning and ending of the frame, so that the receiver end, it is defined that it is the frame, and this is the starting bit of data, and this is the ending bit of data. After that, physical addressing. So after creating a frame, data link layer adds physical addresses, that is called MAC address of the sender and receiver in the header of each frame. Okay. After that, error control. So error control provides a mechanism to find out the error in the during the transmission. Means if the error is lost, if the frame is lost or the frame get damaged, then we will have to retransmit the damaged or lost frame. So this mechanism is defined in the data link layer. After that, flow control. So as I told you that data rate must be constant on the both side, or we can say there is synchronization of data rate between the both side. So flow control coordinates the amount of data that can be sent before receiving the acknowledgement. After that, access control, that is the last function, in which when the single channel is shared by so many devices or multiple devices, then MAC sublayer, layer of data link, uh, MAC sublayer of data link layer helps to determine that which device has control over the channel at a given time. So this is also defined by the data link layer when the particular host has control over the channel or not. So these are the five basic functions of data link layer. After that, come to the third layer, that is called network layer, in which two main functions are defined. First one is called routing, and second one is called logical addressing. So uh, basically, network layer works for the transmission of data from one host to the other that is located on the different network, and it also take care of the packet routing. Packet routing means to find or to select the shortest path to transmit the packet from the source to the destination. So for that, it has to define the IP. So routing means to determine the suitable route from source to destination. So this function is defined by the network layer, and it is called routing. Now, for this, we have to define the logical addressing. So logical address is a unique address which is defined to a particular host, and the senders and receivers IP addresses are placed in the header by the network. So these two functions are defined by the network layer. Now come to the next one, that is the transport layer. So transport layer provides services to application layer and takes services from the network layer. So like uh, that data in the transport layer is referred to as the segments, because the first function, that is segmentation and reassembly, is uh, done by the transport layer, and it is also responsible for the end-to-end delivery of the complete message. So it also provides the acknowledgement for the successful data transmission, and if the error is found, then retransmission is take place. So first function, that is segmentation and reassembly. So this layer accept the message from the above layer, that is called session layer, and break the message into smaller units. And uh, these smaller units are called segment. And with each segment, a header is associated with it. And the transport layer at the destination end reassemble the messages. Means the complete message is segmented in so many segments, and after complete successful transmission of data at the receiving end, it reassembles all the segments to create a complete data. So this is the first point. After that, second one is the service point addressing. So what is service point addressing? So in order to deliver the message to correct process, so transport layer header includes a type of address called service point address or port address. It is also called a port address. Port means the data which is sended by the sender is belongs to which application part or which application program interface, that is defined by the port address, because there are so many application protocols are there, and for each and every application protocol there is a predefined port address. So here service point addressing or port addressing is defined, which defines that the particular data is belong to which application program interface, which application program. Okay. Now, so these are the two main functions. After that, it provides two more. It also provides two more services, that is called uh, connection oriented services and connection less services. This is also defined by the transport layer. For the transmission of data, which type of service is used, either the connection oriented or the connection less, because in transmission or for the in communication of data, two types of services are used in the computer network, either the connection oriented or connection less. So in connection oriented service, a dedicated a particular path is connected before the transmission of data, and after complete transmission, the uh, connection is terminated. So there are three process or three phase are included in connection oriented services. First one is the connection establishment, second one is the data transfer, and third one is the termination. In the connectionless services, there is no dedicated connection is created, and in this type of transmission, uh, the intermediate nodes are responsible for transmitting the data from source to destination. But connectionless services are not reliable. We will discuss all these things in the communication protocol, that is TCP, UDP, TCP/IP. So basically, connection-oriented services, connection-less services are defined, well, much defined in uh, communication protocol. Okay, so we will discuss in the later. So these are the four things which are defined in the transport layer. After that, come to the session layer. So as the name implies, session means the particular time period at which the in which the sender and receiver are communicated to each other. So it is responsible for the session establishment, session maintenance, and termination. Okay. Now, second point is synchronization. So this layer also allows a process to add checkpoints which are considered as synchronization points. So synchronization points all help us to identify the error so that the data can be resynchronized properly. And at the end of data, no cuts and no data loss is there. So to avoid the data loss, we just use the synchronization. After that, third one is the dialog controller. So dialog controller uh, defines the system before start the communication that the sender and receivers communicate in which transmission mode, either simplex, half duplex, or full duplex. Because in this function dialog control, simplex is not defined, one way communication is not defined, only two way communication are there, either half duplex or full duplex. So which type of communication is defined here? Is defined in the dialog control. Now come to the presentation layer. So presentation layer is also called as translation layer sometimes, because the data from the application layer is extracted here and manipulated as per the required format to transmit over the network. So in there, three main functions are defined in presentation layer. That is translation, encryption, decryption, and compression. Translation, or it is also known as encoding. So we just encode the data in a different form in translation. After that, encryption and decryption means we apply some algorithms or encryption algorithms to change the data for the security purpose. And the encrypted data is also known as ciphertext, and the decrypted data is known as the plain text. So it is encryption and decryption is used for the security purpose. After that, compression is defined. So many compression algorithms are there which are used to reduce the number of bits that we need to transmit on the network. Because if we don't use the compression, then data size is much, much higher. Now, come to the last layer, that is called application layer. And it is responsible for the transmission of data, because the applications defines the data transmission. Means, so in a the main function of application layer are network virtual terminal. So it defines the particular terminal, or we can say a particular application which is sending the data over the medium. After that, file transfer access management. So file transfer access management means the file which is to be transferred and how it can be accessed, in which format it is defined, the format of file, the format of data, each and everything are defined in the second point. After that, mail services, like for mail services, we are using the SMTP protocol, that is called Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So uh, it defines, the application layer defines all the applications protocol. After that, directory services means we want to which directory is used, which services are used, what are the functions we are using for transferring the data. All the things are defined here. So this is the part of the application layer. So application layer deals only with the application part, and it is the endpoint at which from which the data is to be transmitted, and it is the endpoint at which data is to be received. Clear? So these are the 7 layers, and these are the function of 7 layer of OSI model. Now there is some small exercise that, or we can say, how questions can be generated from the OSI model. What type of question can be defined in the OSI model? So, like which layer is responsible for the process to process delivery? So, which is defined for the process to process delivery? So, you can define in the whole layer, like for the process to process means if the process of data link layer and the process of receiver side of data link layer. Then which layer is to do network support layer and supports layer for the network to link. For transport layer, transport layer is used for the link. After that, which layer provides the services to the user, application layer. Transmission data is decided by, at which data rate the transmission is decided. It is provided by the data link layer. So all these things. So there are so many questions and so many uh, MCQs can be defined by in the OSI model. So this is all about the OSI model, and OSI model is very much important because it is the uh, first model which is used for the transmission of data from sender to receiver. So this is the reference and textbook for our today's topic, that is Data Communication Network by Behraz Ifrozen, Tata McGraw-Hill. A very best book for the data communication as well as network. But I like the Tenenbaum also. But the, as I told you earlier, that the language of Tenenbaum is little bit tough than the Behraz Ifrozen. So this is all about the OSI model, and in the next lecture or tomorrow's lecture, we will discuss about the TCP/IP model. So what is the difference between the OSI and TCP/IP? Why we using the TCP/IP? One more thing I just defined here before uh, the TCP/IP, that OSI is the logical model. Listen carefully. OSI is the logical model, but TCP/IP is the practical model. What does it mean? So try to find out. I just put a question to you, that OSI is a logical model, but TCP/IP is the physical model. What is the difference in logical and physical? Okay. So I hope you will find the answer. So this is the references for today's slide. So thank you very much for listening my lecture, and I hope you all understand all the things and all the functions of each layer of OSI model. So thank you very much. We will meet on the next lecture. Thanks a lot.